There we go. Now we're recording. We are ready to go. Get your papers ready. Don't let them bounce out of control. Almost lost my papers. We are going to do Psalm 18 today. And I do know how to count correctly. I don't count 1, 2, 6, 18. We're just going to be jumping around and doing some different Psalms. This is the first Psalm that we're going to do in our class. It is not a short Psalm. It's a page and another page.
Most of them are pretty short.
So this one's going to be a little bit longer. And the plan is to do it in 2 parts. We're going to talk about it in 2 parts. But I am going to read the whole thing through so that you can hear the whole story of the Psalm. And we're going to talk about the first 24 verses today. And the plan is to do the next 26 verses next time. So let us get ready for Psalm 18. If you have a Bible, you can get your Bible open and ready, or you can just listen in or read along on the screen. There's my piece of paper. All right, so it's just going to be kind of running through, but you'll notice that there's a lot of words under the Psalm 18 thing. This is part of the heading that is included. And so this is Psalm 18, for the chief musician, a psalm. All right, that seems pretty normal, but look at the details. Actually, hold on a second here. What's going on here? There we go. Now we can run it the right way. For the chief musician, a psalm of David, the servant of the Lord, who spoke unto the Lord the words of this song in the day that the Lord delivered him from the hand of all of his enemies and from the hand of Saul. And he said, and it has that comma, and it's going to start right there. So what is the background of this psalm? Let me read it again. Who spoke the word of this song in the day that the Lord delivered him from the hand of all his enemies and from the hand of Saul. So when is this psalm being written and spoken?
When
David is very happy.
David's happy. What else, Dennison?
and when he is attacked by Saul.
Mm-hmm. And this would be after the attacks by Saul. It says after he was delivered from enemies and from Saul. Did David have a lot of enemies?
Oh.
Yes.
No, yes.
Did David have a lot of fights and battles? Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Saul has killed his thousands and David his 10,000s or something.
Yeah, right? And so this is a psalm about when David is victorious. Okay?
I think it's cool that it tells us what it's about. Like sometimes you have to guess what time, what he was going through when he wrote it, but I like that it tells us.
Yep, this one we can know. And that's going to help us also in the way we think about it. All right, so now I'm going to read it. I'm going to read the whole thing through. This takes a little bit of time, but you guys have had things read to you before. It's no problem. Okay, let me get this ready. I love thee, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my strong rock, in whom will I trust. In him will I trust. My shield and the horn of my salvation, my high tower. I will call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from my enemies. The cords of death compassed me, and the floods of ungodliness made me afraid. The cords of Sheol were round about me. The snares of death came on me. In my distress I called upon the Lord and cried unto my God. He heard my voice out of his temple, and my cry before him came into his ears. Then the earth shook and trembled. The foundations also and the mountains moved and were shaken because he was wroth. There went up a smoke out of his nostrils, and a fire out of his mouth devoured. Coals were kindled by it. He bowed the heavens also and came down, and thick darkness was under his feet. And he rode upon a cherub and did fly. Yea, he flew swiftly upon the wings of the wind. He made darkness his hiding place his pavilion round about him, darkness of waters, thick clouds of the skies. At the brightness before him, his thick clouds passed, hailstones and coals of fire. The Lord also thundered in the heavens, and the Most High uttered his voice, hailstones and coals of fire. And he sent out his arrows and scattered them, yea, lightnings manifold, and discomfited them. Then the channels of the waters appeared, and the foundations of the world were laid bare at thy rebuke, O Lord, at the blast of the breath of thy nostrils. He sent from on high, he took me, he drew me out of many waters. He delivered me from my strong enemy and from them that hated me, for they were too mighty for me. They came upon me in the day of my calamity, but the Lord was my stay. He brought me forth also into a large place. He delivered me because he delighted in me. The Lord rewarded me according to my righteousness. According to the cleanness of my hands has he recompensed me. For I have kept the ways of the Lord and have not wickedly departed from my God. For all his judgments were before me, and I put not away his statutes from me. I was also perfect with him, and I kept myself from mine iniquity. Therefore has the Lord recompensed me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands in his eyesight.
It sounds like he was bragging.
It's pretty interesting, his voice, right? Let's keep reading it and see what it's about. With the merciful thou wilt show thyself merciful. With the perfect man thou wilt show thyself perfect. With the pure thou dost show thyself pure. And with the perverse thou wilt show thyself froward. For thou wilt save the afflicted people, but the haughty eyes you will bring down. For you will light my lamp, the Lord my God will lighten my darkness. For by you I run against a troop, and by my God do I leap over a wall. As for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is tried. He is a shield unto all them that trust in him. For who is God save the Lord? And who is a rock beside our God? The God that girds me with strength and makes my way perfect. He makes my feet like hinds' feet and sets me upon my high places. He teaches my hands to war so that mine arms do bend a bow of brass. Thou hast also given me the shield of thy salvation, and thy right hand hath holden me up, and thy gentleness hath made me great. Thou hast enlarged my steps under me, and my feet have not slipped. I will pursue mine enemies and overtake them, neither will I turn again till they are consumed. I will smite them through that they shall not be able to rise. They shall fall under my feet. For thou hast girded me with strength unto battle. Thou hast subdued under me those that rose up against me. Thou hast also made mine enemies turn their backs to me, that I might cut them off that hate me. They cried, but there was none to save, even unto the Lord, but he answered them not. Then did I beat them small as the dust before the wind. I did cast them out as the mire of the streets. Thou hast delivered me from the strivings of the people. Thou hast made me the head of the nations. A people whom I have not known shall serve me. As soon as they hear of me, they shall obey me. The strangers shall submit themselves unto me. Strangers shall fade away and shall come trembling out of their close places. The Lord lives, and blessed be my rock, and exalted be the God of my salvation. Even the God that executes vengeance for me and subdues people under me. He rescues me from mine enemies. Yea, thou liftest me up above them that rise against me. Thou deliverest me from the violent man. Therefore I will give thanks unto thee, O Lord, among the nations, and will sing praises unto thy name. Great deliverance gives he to his king, and shows loving kindness to his anointed, to David and to his seed forevermore.
Mr. Dan,
Yeah?
part of that sounded like a song I know.
Yeah?
Yeah, I recognize a couple songs in there.
Yeah? There's some songs taken from that. What did you recognize?
Um,
Is it this one? I will call upon the Lord who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from my enemies. And at the end, the Lord liveth, and blessed be my rock, and exalted be the God of my salvation.
It's
Yes.
the one I recognized.
Yeah, isn't that kind of fun? Now, when you guys sing that song, you can start remembering some of the ideas in the psalm that we're going to talk about. One of you mentioned that it sounded a little bit like boasting. What do you think? Did you hear some boasting in there?
Yeah, I heard a little bit of it, but he's more praising God and boasting about how God is good, I think.
Okay. I'm just going to write some of these words up there because
I
it's
don't
worth
think
writing.
that's what it is. I think that's what he's saying, like because he did good things, he was blessed.
Okay. Praise God. Jack, you're saying it's did good equals blessed.
Yeah, he's
I'm running out of room. Yeah. No, I think that's right. And these are good things to ask questions about, right? One of the things to remember is the way a psalm is not going to talk about events and ideas the same way we do when we're having a conversation or we're writing a paper or preaching a sermon. A psalm is going to talk about them in a pretty special way. Do we know that David did some sins in his life?
Yes.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Do you
Yes.
think David knew it?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So when David is saying, he says it in verse 23, I was also perfect with him. We need to remember it's a poem because David knows he wasn't a perfect man, but perfect can mean whole and complete. And this idea that David was always trying to be perfect with God, right? He was a man after God's own heart. And David being that way, how did God reward David? Just a little bit?
A lot.
No, a whole lot.
A lot. And that's what this psalm is trying to teach us.
Millions.
Yeah, millions. Not just a little bit of blessing, millions of blessing, right? Yeah. Okay. That's one of the questions. You guys were just saying some of the thoughts you had, but let's just keep going. What do you think about this psalm? What's it sound like? What does it act like?
War.
Draw battle strips.
Well, there's no ships in it.
Well,
War.
how about
I mean, this is a psalm all about war.
you draw tanks?
Shh. Text. No, we won't do that. We'll do some drawings in a minute, but you notice it's all about war and fighting. Who trained David's arm to war?
God.
God. I don't think war is a good thing,
Body.
but God used David to fight the wicked enemies, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of war. In this psalm, who is the cool and awesome warrior?
God.
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 Is David a warrior in the psalm?
Yes, but he
Yes.
was
Yeah.
a warrior.
But God is the cool warrior, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I had a teacher tell me once that they think that this psalm sounds like the book of Revelation or some of the things in Daniel or in Zechariah, some of that complicated language. Did you hear some Revelation sounding things in it?
Yeah.
Definitely. Like the mouth of fire.
Yeah, yeah. Stepping
When
on
God
it.
had sword cut his mouth.
Yep.
I thought
What was
it
that, Thomas?
Interesting. It is mentioned twice that I know of. there went up smoke out of his nostrils.
Smoke out of his
At
nostrils.
the
Yeah.
blast of his breath of thy nostrils.
Yeah. Yeah. And so one of the thoughts is this would be the oldest writing in the Bible that is that kind of language. It might be the first time that kind of thing is happening in the Bible. Now, here is the question. Why did David write this psalm? What's it about? It's about when he had victory over his enemies.
Yes.
Think about the way David describes this victory. When exactly was it? Was it when David was fighting Goliath that God came down breathing fire out of his mouth?
No, he did that by himself with
When-
God helping a bit.
When did God come down in a pile of cloud riding cherubim with darkness, lightning, hailstones, fire, and smoke coming out of his nostrils? Did it ever happen?
The plagues.
No.
Oh, the plagues your favorite?
But did it ever happen with
Yeah.
David?
No.
So here's an interesting question. We know that God never did that with David. Does that mean the psalm is wrong?
No.
No.
It's saying it's like God did that.
Yeah.
He's helping David. It's not just like that, but it's a lot like it.
Yeah. And
He's
that's
just using that to describe it.
Mhm, mhm. And that's the point. That's something that we need to remember. That sometimes when the Bible is describing an event, the event happened exactly that way, right? And sometimes the Bible uses poetry or other kinds of writing to help teach an idea. And that's okay. Would you say that Psalm 18 is not true? No, it's true.
No.
It's a true psalm, even if God didn't actually breathe smoke out of his nostrils. It's so true. All right, that's the introduction. Now we're going to do part of the psalm looking at the words. Okay, let me open this up. Da-da-da. All right, let me get the thing straight. There we go. Verse 1. I love thee, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock and my high fortress and my deliverer. My God, my strong rock, in him will I trust. My shield, the horn of my salvation, my high tower. We're just going to do that really quick on the back. We're going to have all these descriptions of God. The Lord is my rock. So you can draw like a rock cliff. There's the rocky cliff. Okay, Lord is my rock. He is my fortress. So you can draw a fortress that was built on the rock. Right, with strong bricks and stones. Right? God is not just a rock, he is a fortress to protect us. So God is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. That means we can put a gate on it so that you can escape to God, right?
Yeah.
You can be delivered. My God, my strong rock, in him will I trust. My shield, all right, you can draw a shield on it. It's like God is here and he's holding the shield. I don't know why a fortress would need a shield on it, but you get the idea. My high tower, okay, let's put a high tower. More bricks there.
This reminds me a bit of the song, Be Thou My Vision, like God is our high tower.
Uh-huh. God being a rock and a tower is a very common image in the Psalms. Yeah. I will call upon, okay, and so those are, oh, the horn of my salvation. Not just my salvation. All right, this is not the way fortresses work, but I'm going to draw horns on it. Because the point of the horn in the Bible, the point of a horn is that that's a symbol for power. Do you remember all the horns in Revelation and in Daniel? And so God has that horn for power. I gave him two horns, like a Viking helmet. Although apparently Vikings never wore helmets like that. All right. So that's a strong fortress. I will call upon the Lord who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from my enemies. See that so? That so means this is how. I will call upon the Lord who is worthy to be praised. This is how I will be saved from my enemies. So, in that manner, that's what that word so means. The cords of death encompassed me, and the floods of ungodliness made me afraid. And so you can draw David here. And what feeling does he have on his face?
Fear.
He has fear. It's hard to imagine David.
Teeth chattering.
He's probably king or trying to be king. So I'm gonna draw a crown on him. And so he's afraid. He's got cords of death.
Yeah, I would draw David as a king, but holding a shepherd's staff because he was.
Oh
a
yeah, that's a good idea. So these now it's kind of looking like a necklace, but I'm trying to draw like ropes and chains around him. Those are the cords that have encompassed him, the cords of death, and you have floods of ungodliness all around him. Did you think that David thought he was going to drown in the wickedness and ungodliness around him? I can imagine that feeling. The cords of Sheol were around about me. The snares of death came upon me. In my distress, I called upon the Lord. So you can draw an open mouth. And he's calling upon the Lord. I cried unto my God. Now here's an interesting idea. What does the word cry mean? Like boo-hoo cry or cry out?
Cry out.
Cry out.
Probably means
Cry out.
cry out.
Cry out, like yell, like.
Yeah, but you know what? He's afraid. It almost could be the word cry, like tears cry, don't you think? I think it is cry out, but it could almost be a mixture of the two, right? He heard my voice out of his temple, and my cry before him came to his ears. David's cry made it all the way up to God. Now, this is something that we need to stop, and I want you to think about this. Maybe you've had someone at church, or your parents, or aunts and uncles, or grandparents, or friends, and they've taught you about prayer, and you know how to pray, and you kind of know how to do the prayer thing, okay? Sometimes we need to stop and think, God, is he going to hear me? And the truth is he does. Sometimes we say, oh, I want to eat my breakfast. I got to do my prayer first. We kind of do the prayer. God's listening. And David makes a big deal about that. God heard his prayer. Then the earth shook and trembled. The foundations of the mountains also. The foundations also of the mountains were moved. And you can draw some mountains and draw like the shaky line. You might want to draw like, since I drew snow, I guess you need to draw the like an avalanche coming down. They're all moving and were shaken because he was wroth. Who was angry? Wroth means angry. Who was angry?
God.
God. There went up a smoke out of his nostrils. All right, we got to start drawing God. Here's his nose.
Draw him as a bull.
And we're going to have the smoke coming out. All right, and I'm going to draw it like black smoke because it's supposed to be like a scary thing, right?
It's like a
And
poking
fire
out
of his mouth devoured. And we can draw this fire coming out. Now, does it say he's a dragon in this? No. But whenever I see this smoke from his nostrils and fire out of his mouth, that's what I always think about. And it's just kind of a neat idea. So why is David describing God this way?
Because God's so angry.
Yeah, God's so angry.
And
What else?
probably scary.
Yeah, God. Do you think God is scary when he's doing this? Right? I think so.
Yes.
I think so.
Yes.
Do you
Of
think that
course.
even David might be a little bit scared?
Yeah.
Yeah. And coals were kindled by it. He bowed the heavens also and came down. All right, here's an important thing. The word heavens, right? Sometimes we talk about here we are on earth, and then God is sitting up in heaven, right? We draw him like in a cloud. But even when we draw this, don't we say that there's a sun higher up? And even above that, there's the stars.
Yeah.
So back then, they just said that there was all these different levels of heaven. That was the idea. But eventually, when you got to the very top one, you'd get to God, right? That's kind of the image that they used. And so here, God is bending it down, and he is coming down through all the heavens, down to David. Does that make sense? Thick darkness was under his feet. Here's his feet. And and so I'm thinking it's kind of, I think, doesn't it say, I think it says a cloud somewhere. So I'm going to draw like a cloud thing, and I'm going to make it all dark. Usually when we're talking about God, God is light, right? So why is God coming in thick darkness?
To scare people?
Yeah. He's not coming for joy. He's coming in judgment. Thick darkness was under his feet, and he rode upon a cherub and did fly. I don't have the time to draw a cherub. I'll draw cherub wings. There's cherub wings.
You can't really see the right wing.
Here we go. Just wings. I don't even know. I don't even know what it means. It might be like that chariot in Ezekiel. He rode upon a cherub and did fly. He flew swiftly upon the wings of the wind. You can draw some wind. This is how I draw wind. He made darkness his hiding place, his pavilion around him, darkness of waters, thick clouds of the skies. This is a very scary picture. Remember when Jesus first sees John in the book of Revelation? When John first sees Jesus in the book of Revelation, how does John feel? What does John do?
And I'm scared.
He's scared. He falls down, right? And Jesus proves to be a good God, but in this one, we can get a big sense of that darkness and that fear, right?
Mr. Dan,
Mm-hmm.
I just realized something. I'm drawing God coming down with the smoke and the fire,
Yeah.
and David on the earth with all this, like you said earlier, like he was like gonna be drowned in like all the in all the sin. So I drew water, and I realized God is breathing fire to come defeat the water, and I thought that was kind of cool.
That's a neat connection. You know, sometimes when we draw these pictures, we can make neat connections. The fire could evaporate all the water even. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And David is surrounded by dark waters, but is darkness scary for God?
No. No.
He can make darkness even scarier. I mean, God's that powerful. He can do these things.
I'm drawing God as a red bull.
Yeah, angry bull. Yeah. All right. At the brightness before him, his thick clouds passed, hailstones and coals of fire. The Lord also thundered in the heavens, and the Most High uttered his voice, hailstones and coals of fire. He sent out his arrows and scattered them, yea, lightnings manifold, and discomfited them. All right, so you can draw lightning bolts coming out. Maybe I ought to, yeah, you can see that. And then fireballs shooting down. You don't have to make shush sounds when you're drawing, but I do. That's how I draw. Kind of silly that way. But it says he is scattering them. Does that mean he's scattering the lightning bolts? No, I think it means he's scattering the enemies. So you can draw some people trying to run away.
Yeah.
They're not
I-
happy about what's fallen onto them. The channels of water appeared and the foundations of the world were laid bare at your rebuke, O God. You can even have water gushing, like a river just happening, a big crack in the ground, and the whole world is changed. Do you think God can change the whole world by speaking a word?
Yes.
With a
He
word.
did 7 times.
Yep. That's how he made it. So why not if he just speaks a word, right?
Like if he says
Yeah.
destroy, then all of them might just get destroyed.
At the blast of the breath of thy nostrils. He sent from on high. He took me. He drew me out of many waters. He delivered me from my strong enemy and from them that hated me, for they were too mighty for me. Look at this sentence. David, the guy who killed Goliath, said, they were too mighty for me. David needed God. Should I feel embarrassed if I am dealing with problems that are too big for me to handle? No. Should I be embarrassed, say, God, I can't do this. I really need your help. I'm sorry. Don't be ashamed.
You should be glad that God can help you.
Yeah. God kind of wants us to feel that way so that we are forced to remember he's the good one and he's going to help us.
Titus.
Where
They came upon me in my day of calamity, but the Lord was my stay. He brought me also forth into a large place and delivered me because he delighted me. I like this idea, into a large place. Imagine David was in the waters and troubles, and now David is in a large place. And I'm going to draw that by saying, here's a tiny David, and here's the place. You see any troubles in this place?
Nope.
Nope. It's lots of room. That's what God can do. God can give us a large space to be. He delivered me because he delighted in me. Why does God do all this? Because he
loves us.
loves us. That's something important to remember, right? The Lord rewarded me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands that he recompensed me. For I have kept the ways of the Lord and have not wickedly departed from my God. For his judgments were before me, and I put not away his statutes from me. I was perfect with him, and I kept myself from mine iniquity. Therefore hath the Lord recompensed me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands in his eyesight. So this is that section where it kind of sounds like, is David being boastful? And this is what I think. Compare David with Saul. Think about Saul. Did Saul keep the ways of the Lord? Did Saul keep his hands clean?
No.
Oh,
Did Saul keep God's judgments in front of himself?
no.
No, that's not what Saul did. Saul did some good things, and we know that David did some bad things, but this is trying to say, show the difference. Not have you ever made a mistake, but what is your life like? What is your walk like? Do you always try to keep God's word in front of you, thinking about it, drawing pictures about it, trying to make it a part of your life? And David did, and he was blessed. All right. For the sake of time, I'm not going to read through the whole psalm again because we've used up a lot of time. But if you can, I recommend that you read all of Psalm 18 to yourself or get somebody to read it to you. It's a long psalm. It's not there's a lot longer ones, but it's a little bit long. But what makes it fun is that it's exciting. It's got fire-breathing excitement and teaching how to fight battle and jumping over walls and all sorts of really exciting stuff. This is the good stuff to read about.
Mr. Dan,
Mm-hmm.
it reminds me of Revelation.
Yeah, me too. Me too. You could, you three. You could read Psalm 18 as practice for reading the book of Revelation, because it kind of teaches you how to do it, even how to interpret it. Because remember that question? When did God ever breathe fire for David? I don't remember him doing that. No, silly, that's not the point. The point is God has power. And that's kind of the same thing we do with Revelation, right? Where's the red dragon of Satan? No, silly. It's talking about how scary his power is. And we want our rider on a white horse, Jesus Christ. Any other questions or thoughts about the psalm that we looked at? No? All right. Well, next time we will finish Psalm 18. We'll do verses 25 through 50. Until then, I will see you later. Take care, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Dan. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.